Hey, people. I left a link of this book in that last movie, and I'll leave it again. I wanted to show you a couple things in here. You know, in the Greek, when it says angel, it actually says haggle, and haggle is known as a group of harpists. And when it says devil in the Greek, the word is actually diabol. You know, D-I-A is a die or through, a B-O-L, diabol, through ball. Diabol is like basketball. When you pass a ball through a hoop, you know, a hoop is a die. You can see here, die is through. You know, when you die, you go through to the other side. A punch in a die used to press holes in metal. And you can see here it ends with the O on this time with this iota script as you read it all backwards. And the diabol, and then it's all obey, O-B-A-Y-D. The diabol, all obeyed. Everybody listening to the basketball player. Made, ditto it, ditto, the same here, ditto. Made ditto it, top onto it, the diabol, all obeyed. You know, a diabol looks like a ball here, and looks like a hoop and an arrow with the ball going through the hoop. Like basketball. And this old picture of the devil show looks like a ball with an arrow pointing it going through the hoop. So this is called the Book of Ancient Alphabets. And it had been rewritten in 1806 in English. But halfway through this book, it'll turn around backwards. Because when you get to the end of the book, when it finishes, you're reading the end of the original book that came 1,000 years ago, which was from writings that were 1900 years old. And so this book's backwards, it's in Arabic, but that was the original book. And so to show, you know, if you don't like his translation, he went ahead and printed the whole original book in here. And so if some of the symbols are blurry in the first part, you can go to this Arabic part and the symbols are a little clearer, and you can check his interpretation. But it shows a whole bunch of the ancient alphabets, and it tells how they come about, where they come from, and who's lying about what. And so the story is that this man that first wrote this 1900 years ago was in Egypt, and he was copying the symbols and what knowledge that they could make off of them. And they drew the world as a ball here. I think that means more Earth. And the symbol for planets, you know, this is a symbol for a star, and we often use it for a symbol of the sun. The symbol for planets, you know, they have 7 planets around the sun, so they knew that the Earth was just one of the planets. And this word for sin, you'll see about this much of this sign without all the loop. You'll see it on the wall in Egypt when it's writing about circumcision. It's here, you know, with the F-O-W-L-S-I-N, the fowl's in. And so they interpret it as a foreskin. But, you know, it looks like this foreskin goes all the way up the Kundalini. It's like the whole Kundalini is the sin. And, you know, about 2 movies ago, I showed you where it says the hat is the feather in, was one that corrupted the prostitutes. And so it was the pimp, you know, and the corrupting here is now the same symbol for red, or a vagina is the corruptor. And that's what corrupts your Kundalini. You know, and to learn some stuff, see what they knew 1,000 years ago, you know, copy these words and put them in your search. That kind of looks like a mirror that would sit on your wife's dressing table. But a civet is a African cat they use to collect the musk to make perfume. And check out any words you might not know. A teriac, it kind of looks like the 666 upside down. And this is all in plants and oils. And not even upside down, but it looks like the Hebrew vav vav vav, like monster drink, 666. But it's actually an ancient word for medicine, and they mixed many, many different things, but it was mainly named for the garlic. But a theriac was an antidote considered to be a panacea. It cured many, many different things. And Lonser wrote that it was garlic was the rustic theriac of heal all. And yeah, that's my go-to. I cut a thin slice of raw garlic and try to eat it every day. So if garlic was a 666, that means the writer was a vampire. And so down here in the writers of minerals, I saw in breaking and cleaving. And this looks like a man maybe laying down with his elbows up and with his knee up and his feet down. And, a knee is a break. Breaking means, it's what we do to metal. We break it, we fold it and make shapes out of it to waterproof. It's called breaking. But in the Hebrew, when it says break, they say it's the knee. And so it's just like I was showing you in the Hebrew. What's in the writings isn't what it says. They're describing the pictures that they're looking at. You can see here the knees is the break is B-R-K-I-M. Final M is S. Or the break from. It will strike you is Jack, J-K-K-E. To jack you in shin. Roll my core in the breaks. The break is the breaks. And all, and backwards and forwards after this. All my fish the squishes. M-Y-Q-S-H. Fish. All my fish the squishes. Wrestle. Like what to call the rape from cap of Reglik, from the sole of your foot, from the cap of Reglik. And it's getting all this from Orion. And the older art showed this as the left foot and this is the knee. This is the break and this is Reglik. This star here at the cap of the foot is Reglik. Rigel. Rigel on the cap of the foot. And so they twisted all the words around. Cap is the top, not the sole. And the Kappa star is the right knee. This is the Kappa star is at the right knee. But the Rigel is the left foot. And you see all the ancient art, the left foot's always forward. Rigel, the first R, first G, foot. First foot, RG. Anytime the military starts marching, they always step off on the left foot first. Left. Rigel, first foot of. And then this Kappa star, is sap. And they did that in a lot of our language. They changed the K to the C and to the S. But you can see that originated as Kappa. In all the ancient art, my fishes are the feet. Jack you in the shin. Roll my core in. The break is to all my fishes, the squishes. Gonna kick you in the shin, roll you over, break you, and stomp the shit out of you. You're going to wrestle, RS, and if they would A reads backwards, RSALA. Wrestle like what to call of the rape. I'm going to wrestle you like you're fixing to get raped. From Cap Regilic, the captain of the Regilic. Regilic, your regil is also your army. The cap of the Regilic. Would feed Fedic, QDQDK. Would feed Fedic. Fed is the word they give for holy ones. And the feds, the royal army, would feed you Fedic. So make sure you read all the preface in this book. But this is the translator's preface. It says the original of this translation was found at Cairo, where it escaped the reaches of the French savants. French savants, that's big heads. Who, though successful in collecting many valuable Oriental books and manuscripts, failed in their endeavors to produce satisfactory explanation of the hieroglyphics. And the hiero, the sacred, the secret, and glyphics, logos. Glyph is carving, and IKS is where your word likes come from. Likes, a like image. The secret carving like images. So the author of this book lived 1,000 years ago. And he tells the story of where he got his information, another 1,000 years old, down at the end here. And the reason he was able to do this is because he was from one of the 4 families that was allowed to have this information. Translated a work treating on the hieroglyphics and secrets of Hermes from the mother tongue of the Nabatean into Arabic. Hermes is the creepy crawly things on the first page of the Hebrew Bible. Hermes, creepy crawly things. The Hermes, ERMS, same word. Hermes was the first king of the ancient Egyptians. And it's impossible to clear up entirely the darkness in which the history of this triple Hermes is involved. He is, however, evidently the Hermes Trismegistus of the Greeks, and possibly the same with the triple Rama of the Indians. And you can see a clue here in this word, in your word alphabets. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, the Alpha. But Alpha habits lives in the Word. And you can see that in the beginning of this Arabic. It's one of the ancient language, and you can see the alphabets. And this Ba TS, this is some of the first writings in Egypt when they're in the boat, and the boat will look just like this letter B, T, and S. The writers were sailors. The aleph bits, habits, inhabits the boats. So there was more code in here, but you can't see this in this black print because it was written underneath with red ink. So Lord Ishmael was the first to speak Arabic and created the Kusic alphabet known by the name of Suri. So the Hermesians let nobody into the secrets of their knowledge but their disciples, lest the arts and science should be debased by being common amongst the vulgar. Vulgar, that's the word used for all your old Bibles, the Vulgates. And they hid therefore the secrets and treasures from them by the means of this alphabet God habits, to be read by nobody except the sons of wisdom and learning. That's us, we're the sons of wisdom and learning. And so the 4 classes were the sons of Hermes, and they married into their own race, and never allowed to have any kind of intercourse with strangers. Intercourse used to mean communication. They were the authors of the books commonly called the books of Edris or Enoch. And the few of those with this knowledge now retired in some islands near the frontiers of China. And they said these things are come down from our father Adam, Seth, and Hermes, or Edris, Enoch, the triple. Seth was the son of Adam. And I showed in a movie that Enoch was actually a daughter of Seth. Adam, Seth, and her. That's where your word her comes from. Feminine. Adam, Seth, and Hermes, the three heads. But I believe they got this backwards. This is the head of the serpent. But Seth is Saturn. And this should be the tail of the serpent. And you see down here in the appendix, the first alphabet was called the schism, was used for writing sentences of wisdom on clay. The original alphabets from which all other ancient and modern ones have been derived are no more than three. That's the Syrian, the Celestial, and the alphabet of Enoch. And so the Syrian alphabet is the alphabet in which Adam, peace be with him, wrote his books. And who says contrary says falsehood. And so my last movie I showed you this falsehood is actually just pseudo, another name. This alphabet looked like this. And you see the resemblance of this. It looks like a comb. If you're going to make a comb, you have to make it out of a hard material, something that's going to be thin, or iron bars, a jail. And this hissat, this is just telling you the pronunciation of the H is hard. But if you look in the metals, you'll see that this is similar to the sign that means hard. Or tin, and tin is what we add to iron to make it hard. That's why you have tin on your roof and it's so thin. But it's tin is added to iron to make a harder steel. So a man with perfect wisdom and understanding, accomplished in all his ways, and without the least blame, was painted with a beautiful face, with wings like an angel, holding in his hand a book in which he looked a sword and a balance, and behind him two vases, one of them full of water, the other of blazing fire. Under his right foot a ball with a crab painted on it. Under his left foot a deep pot full of serpents, scorpions, and different reptiles, the covering which had been the shape of an eagle's head. And these other alphabets he talks about he didn't reproduce. This is more like modern alphabets. And you can see them in the back in the Arabic side of the book. The first copy of this manuscript before us was taken from the original Tuesday, the 7th of the month of Rabi al-Akhur in the year 413 of the Hijra. And this copy from which this was printed, which was made from it, was begun Monday, the 2nd of the month Muharram in the year of the Hijra 1166. And this is only about 2/5 the way through the book. 3/5 of the book has those other alphabets, and it's all in Arabic. And like I said, this is the end of the book here. So in the author's preface, he also says that it's superfluous to repeat, it's unnecessary to repeat anything that has been said on the worship of apis. And so pis is your Greek word for behind or past, and to repeat the past, the worship of the past. Since writing the above, I discovered that this rare book was not unknown to Kirshner, who wrote his work on the hieroglyphs, the first paragraph. And Google Translator won't translate this, and I'll make this in two parts. I'm going to show you how to translate this, how to get more information out of Google Translator, but they changed the Latin too. I'm going to prove that they've changed the Latin here. And I'm going to go more into this appease and show you what it has to do with Alex Amenos Graffito, which is also mistranslated. You can see how they had to add a his in there that just wasn't in the writings in order to make sense out of it. And I'm going to show you where the word apion come out of this word theon, which they say is God here, his God, theon. And I ran into all this while, reading Revelations 19. I told you I was going to read what came after the end of that poem about the defeat of the beast and the false prophet and the rider on the white horse. But I thought it was necessary to explain this picture and get a better interpretation of this and this word theon that they use for your God in the Greek Bible. And the reason they call it your God is because these writers had 3 gods. And I'm going to start work on that now. I'll have it up before tomorrow. I'm going to cut this off here. A good day.